Leeds United will want to retain a lot of the squad going into next season. After all, this squad got us promoted, and the more players that you retain, the fewer players that you need to buy next season. And Manor Solomon is a big part of that. And the Leeds United have got a fairly significant boost in terms of the hunt for Manor Solomon. However, before I go into the fact that this update points towards a Solomon permanent deal at Leeds United, I need to talk about our channel sponsor, which is Match Bingo. So give me 1 second to find the nice shiny video, and then we'll get into it, and it'll be great. There we go. Match Bingo is a whole new way of watching football, in which you can win cash prizes by various events happening, so offsides, corners, filling up a bingo card, and you get those cash prizes from 1 line, 2 line, or a full house. However, you can only play if you're 18 plus and stay gamble aware. All of those links are down below, and you can scan the QR code that's here. Thank you, Match Bingo, for sponsoring the channel. I really appreciate it. But we need to get back into the Solomon permanent deal being a potential thing. And Spurs' financial position is a very interesting place to start. And I've said Spurs' PSR position because I think this is an interesting place to start, because when you hear financial issues, you immediately go, it's PSR. This isn't the case. PSR doesn't seem to be the issue in this one, because they've got about £200 million of headroom. Or at least they did at the start of last season. We've not gotten last season's accounts yet, but that's fine. That's normal. We can still assume we'll have a vast amount of space, because I believe the sale of Harry Kane is included in that. They did sign Bergvall, Archie Gray, etc., but PSR isn't going to be the issue for them. The issue for them is that they currently owe £279 million in net transfer debt, which is a lot of money to owe to various football clubs. Some of it is owed to us, again, for Archie. And in response to this, Daniel Levy has made it clear that Tottenham will not spend money they do not have, which means that effectively they're in a spot where to buy players, they will need to sell other players. And if you're looking throughout their squad and you're looking at players that are not likely to stick around, not likely to make the grade, not likely to be picked in future years, Manor Solomon is one of those. His role at Spurs, which is at the very best peripheral in the orbit of the squad, probably not getting in, makes it incredibly likely that he's going to be sold. Which means that there is a further question of who has an interest in signing Manor Solomon at the moment. And Leeds do seem interested in sealing a move. After all, at Leeds United, he's had a very, very good season. If you noticed my voice going weird like it did just then, by the way, I'm in a weird spot where I've got a cold, so I've got a bunch of unpleasant bits up here, which means that I want to cough, but at the same time, my ribs up here. The other day I was coughing and I pulled a rib, or at least a muscle between the ribs. So that hurts. So if my voice goes funny, it's because I'm trying not to cough, because it hurts me. What also hurts me is that Everton are also apparently interested in sealing a deal for Manor Solomon, which could be an issue for Leeds, because after all, we know that Everton are one of those sides that seem unrelegatable no matter what happens to them, but we are seemingly in the driving seat for completing this deal. There's a few reasons for that. The first is that he's familiar with Leeds United. He spent a good amount of time at the club. He will be friends with a bunch of the players by this point. What is my hair doing? There we go. And he just, I hate saying he knows the club, but that's kind of beneficial. If you're in a position where 2 companies want to hire you, one of them is a place you've been in the past, and one of them is completely new to you, new place, new community around you, new everything, you're going to drift towards the original. In addition to that, promotion is massively beneficial, because whilst you can simultaneously look at the signing of Helder Costa when we came up in the first place, this is very different. Manor Solomon is a very, very, very good footballer. Helder Costa was sort of and that was a mandatory buy clause. This will be probably cheaper than Helder Costa, and will be a choice that we are actively making. Plus, if we're in the Premier League, it becomes a lot easier to keep him. Everton would have had a better chance of winning this fight if Leeds didn't get promoted. Now we are promoted. It makes it way easier to hunt for almost all of our targets, because there isn't a level of football above this in terms of prestige. Premier League, firmly the most prestigious division in the world. Maybe you've got Real Madrid, Barca, Bayern to an extent that are clubs that have that same orbital pull to them. But at a league level, the Bundesliga and the Liga do not keep up with the Premier League. In addition to that, he knows he's going to secure a lot of playing time. He might be sort of on the fringes at Everton. He wouldn't have guarantees of getting in every single week. At Leeds, he knows his role and he knows that he's very, very good. And he knows that he's very likely to get in at least as like number one option off the bench, probably starting. And in addition to that, he gets to actually make a name for himself. Something a lot of footballers will want to do is to be at a club and build themselves a reputation from the ground up. And being part of a squad that gets promoted is the first step towards that. And keeping Leeds up is another step towards that. And he can sort of continue to grow on that, which would be lovely. In terms of costs, this is always important. We need to acknowledge that he only has 1 year remaining on his contract, as far as I can tell, which makes it significantly easy to sign him because if Spurs wait another 12 months, they'll lose him for free. That could see the cost fall. There's estimates of around 10 to 15 million pounds, but it could even be below that, considering only a year left on his contract. If we end up needing to fight Everton for him, that increases the complexity a little bit further, but I don't feel like that's going to be too much of a fight. Currently, he is earning £45,000 per week, which is very payable in the Premier League. That's something that we'd be able to cover without any particular question. Ethan Ampadu is rumoured to be on about 40-ish. Brendan Aronson, 45 as well. So that wouldn't be too much of a problem. I'd imagine he'd get a little bit of a pay rise as well because Premier League. I think he'd see approximately the same weekly wage at Leeds United as he's seeing at Spurs. And then the question comes of should we get it done? And for me, absolutely. I'm in one of those weird positions where I'm looking at the squad and I'm thinking, this is not a bad squad in the slightest. Everyone is constantly saying that the goalkeeper cost us like a dozen points last season. And if you are coming out of the Championship with what is on merit, if we beat Plymouth 112 points, there's no way that you go, yeah, this squad's screwed in the Premier League. I think the more of the squad we keep together, the more of a unit we sort of build up, the better position we will be in to continue because everyone knows each other. The chemistry is already there. I don't think scrapping everything, building again and hoping is the way to go. I think this is probably the better approach for us. Retain Solomon, try to retain Rothwell, and we'll be fine. But we'll have to find out. However, as always, that is just what I think. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. That'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet as well, or become a channel member. You get videos like this one early. And yeah, I'm going to head off now because I have a wedding to travel to. Yeah, my video tomorrow, I'm not entirely sure what time it's going to come out. It'll be a Plymouth preview, but it'll come out when I'm at a wedding, so I'll need to film it in like 5 minutes from now, which means that I don't have a press conference to build on. It'll be fine. We'll work something out. Either way, hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. Toodaloo.